Rumors are spreading like wildfire across the internet. People are asking, is Caitlin Clark leaving the WNBA to play overseas? The thought alone has the basketball world in a frenzy. What happens if she does? How will the league, the fans, and even her teammates react to such a shocking decision? Could this be the beginning of the end for the WNBA as we know it?
And voiced frustration with the league's officiating, recently telling reporters, quote, "I feel like I'm getting hammered and everybody is physical with me. And opponents get away with things that other people don't get away with." That's what Caitlin Clark said.
Well, today we're diving deep into the possible fallout of Caitlin Clark, making this game-changing move and what the future holds if she heads abroad. Before we go any further, here's what Caitlin had to say when asked about her plans now that her season is over. "I'm just taking it one step at a time right now. There are a lot of options on the table, both here and overseas. I've got a lot to think about, and I'm excited for what's next. But for now, I'm focused on resting, recovering, and figuring out what's best for me moving forward." That cryptic answer has done nothing to stop the rumors, and has only fueled speculation about her future. So, what if she actually decides to take the leap and play overseas? Let's break it all down.
Caitlin Clark finished up one of the most remarkable years of basketball playing in quite some time. She just absolutely did it all and became a magnet for attention and an icon for sports fans, certainly little girls, certainly mine as well, playing her basketball and watching her play.
Let's get straight into it. Caitlin Clark, the unquestioned future of American women's basketball, leaves the WNBA to play overseas. It's a scenario that no one seriously considered. But what if it actually happened? Clark, whose name is already etched in the record books, suddenly announces her departure. The WNBA, a league that is still fighting for national recognition and financial stability, would be rocked to its core. Her exit wouldn't just be a shocking headline, it would shake the entire foundation of the league. This isn't just speculation. Caitlin Clark is already on track to become one of the most influential athletes in basketball history. If she were to pack up and head overseas, it would be a colossal wake-up call for the WNBA. Can the league even afford to lose its biggest star? How much more talent can the WNBA watch walk out the door before the league itself starts to crumble? The elephant in the room is money, plain and simple. The fact is, overseas leagues, whether in Europe, China, or even Australia, are paying millions for top-tier talent. You think the WNBA can compete with that? Think again. European and Asian teams would kill to get a player like Caitlin Clark on their rosters. We're talking about teams that have the financial muscle to offer Clark not just more money, but luxurious living arrangements, global endorsement deals, and a stage to showcase her skills in front of a whole new audience. So here's the question. What would Caitlin's departure say about the WNBA's ability to retain its top talent? The league can talk about growth and equality all at once, but at the end of the day, players are chasing their worth.
The W thinks that they don't have to pay us more in order for us to be here. And I think I didn't express that when I first talked about prioritization. Our commissioner talked about us being able to, make 700,000. That's not true at all. There's not one player who makes that. And we were promised, team marketing agreements and league marketing agreements, but they've fallen quite short. So it's still not enough for us international players to want to stay here. And that's a choice of the players. If I make a choice to make more money and whatever, and then the teams are mad that I don't come back, but that's how it is. So yes, it just the WNBA, if you want us to be here, you have to pay us more. It's business, it's how it works, and that's all that means.
And right now, the WNBA simply isn't offering enough. Players like Diana Taurasi and Brittany Griner have gone overseas before, but Caitlin Clark leaving? This would be different. This would be catastrophic. Let's talk about Caitlin's legacy if she were to make the leap overseas. Right now, she's a national star. But if she left, she'd become a global icon. Imagine Caitlin tearing up courts in Spain, France, or China. Her jersey would fly off the shelves, and she'd become a household name across continents. The WNBA would lose more than just a player. They'd lose the very person capable of bringing them into mainstream relevance. She'd be playing to sold-out crowds in arenas the WNBA could only dream of filling. And don't think for a second this wouldn't affect her US fan base. If Caitlin goes, her fans go with her. The WNBA's loss is the world's gain. Can the WNBA recover from something like that? Probably not. Clark leaving could very well signal the end of an era, marking the beginning of a global shift where the best talent no longer sees the WNBA as the ultimate goal. But what about the fans? You know the WNBA has a loyal, passionate following, but losing Caitlin Clark? That would be a betrayal they could never forgive. Imagine the Twitter wars, the Reddit threads, the TikToks. Social media would be in meltdown mode. Fans would blame everyone: WNBA management, team owners, even the league's broadcast partners.
But this is completely out of bounds, and I do think over the course of the year, the players have been saying something needs to stop. We need to show people who we are. We need the commissioner to speak on this, which the WNBA came for a statement, had a statement yesterday, but things just haven't been the way it needed to in sort of setting the tone, especially with this new influx of fans on what we stand for and what we don't. I think Caitlin has used her voice in the ways that she has tried to, but still, it's been falling short, and that's why I'm grateful for Alyssa choosing this moment to speak on.
How did it come to this? How did the league let its biggest star slip through its fingers? And it's not just the fans who'd be furious. Corporate sponsors who've just recently started pouring money into women's basketball might start rethinking their investments. What's the point of backing a league that can't even hold on to its brightest stars? The ripple effect of Caitlin Clark leaving would extend far beyond the basketball court. It would hit the entire business model of the WNBA. And once sponsors and fans start pulling out, can the league really survive? Jealousy or solidarity? So what about her fellow WNBA players? It's hard to say. Some might secretly envy her move, while others might see it as a betrayal to the league that's given them a platform. Imagine the whispers in the locker room, the conversations during practice. Some players would undoubtedly question their own loyalty to the league. If Caitlin Clark, arguably the face of the WNBA, feels like the league isn't worth staying in, what does that say about their future? Wouldn't they be tempted to follow in her footsteps? In an interview, let's say a player like Candace Parker is asked about Caitlin leaving. Caitlin's got to do what's best for her, but this move would really hurt the league. We can't keep losing our best talent overseas. It's a wake-up call for all of us, Parker might say, clearly frustrated with the league's shortcomings. Then there's a rookie like Aaliyah Boston, who looks up to Clark and says, if Caitlin leaves, it makes you wonder. What's the ceiling for the WNBA?
Caitlin, everyone had a comment about how she should be playing or what she's doing, her stats. And at the end of the day, I think she's a rookie continuing to figure it out. I mean, she has a lot of attention on her, so there's always going to come scrutiny with that. But I also think that she does a great job of just letting it go off her shoulder, in through one ear, out through the next, because she knows exactly that we trust her, she trusts us, and that's the most important thing at the end of the day.
But maybe it's not all sympathy. Imagine a player like Angel Reese throwing some serious shade in an interview. Caitlin thinks she's bigger than the WNBA? Let her go. There's plenty of talent here to fill that spot, Reese might say. But let's be real, no one's bigger than the league. Will they break the bank? You know the WNBA wouldn't let Caitlin Clark walk away without a fight. There's no way the league would just sit there and wave goodbye to their biggest star. You'd see desperate measures. Suddenly, the WNBA is offering her endorsements, partnerships, even equity in the league itself. But by then, it might be too little, too late. Here's the ugly truth. If Caitlin leaves, it shows that the WNBA can't financially compete with international teams. There's a massive imbalance in what players can earn in the WNBA versus overseas.
The Caitlin Clark phenomenon. How do you describe it?
She's clearly an unbelievable player, came in with an unbelievable following. Caitlin, Angel too, Angel Reese, Rakia Jackson, Cameron Brink. This class of rookies, we will be talking about them a generation from now.
I noticed when you're asking about Caitlin a lot, you bring up other rookies as well.
No league's ever about one player.
Imagine a scenario where Clark is being offered $5 million to play in China or Spain, while the WNBA can barely scrape together $250,000 for their top players. The numbers simply don't add up. It's not just a financial problem, it's a structural issue that exposes the league's biggest flaw. It can't match the value of its stars. Who's next? Let's face it, Caitlin Clark's departure would open the floodgates. If she leaves, what's stopping other top players from doing the same? The WNBA would face an unprecedented exodus of talent. Sabrina Ionescu, Aja Wilson, Breanna Stewart. These stars could easily follow in Clark's footsteps, attracted by the promise of bigger contracts, international fame, and a better lifestyle. And here's the kicker. Once those top-tier players start leaving, the next generation of stars might not even consider the WNBA as their end goal. High school and college players would see a clear path, dominate in the US, but leave before the WNBA locks you into low-paying contracts. The WNBA would essentially become a stepping stone, not the ultimate destination. If that happens, the league is doomed to fail. Is it inevitable? Here's the harsh reality. If Caitlin Clark leaves, the WNBA might never recover. The league has struggled for years to gain mainstream traction, and losing its biggest star could be the final blow. Viewership would plummet, ticket sales would crash, and sponsors would vanish. The WNBA would be left as a shell of its former self, unable to compete with the global market. The collapse of the WNBA would send shockwaves through the sports world. Women's basketball, already fighting for recognition, would take a huge step back. And let's not sugarcoat it, this would be a major blow for women in sports. Caitlin Clark leaving might seem like one player's decision, but it could have lasting consequences for the entire landscape of women's basketball. Caitlin isn't leaving. Yet, alright, before we start panicking, Caitlin Clark isn't actually leaving the WNBA yet. But this thought experiment shows just how fragile the league really is. What do you think? Would the WNBA survive if Clark left? And who else might follow her? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on these hot takes. The drama isn't over. Stay tuned for more.